Fatal epidemics, pandemics originally transmitted by eating animals. HIV, AIDS, transmitted by chimpanzees. Variant Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, or mad cow disease, transmitted by cows. H5N1 avian or bird flu, transmitted by chickens, geese. SARS, severe acute respiratory syndrome, transmitted by civets. H1N1 swine flu or pig's disease, transmitted by pigs. MERS, Middle East respiratory syndrome, transmitted by camels. Ebola, transmitted by bats. COVID-19, transmitted from bats to pangolins. All these diseases are transmitted from animals to humans.
Also, there are fatal, incurable sicknesses from eating fish. Worms, hepatitis A virus, norovirus, Vibrio bacteria, Salmonella, E.Coli, Listeria, shellfish poisoning, mercury poisoning, allergic reactions, etc. All these diseases are transmitted to humans from eating fish, shellfish, and other sea animals.
Meat is not our friend. Animals' products are not our benefactor. They are our enemy. First, they harm our health and that of our children. And second, but most important, they harm our planet. So please do research and please do sacrifice this habit. By meat I mean fish, eggs, milk, etc., etc. Please do research. Even milk is harmful. It's responsible for many fatal diseases. Meat and milk, dairy products and eggs are #1 cancer causing, #1 fatal disease causing. Millions of people die every year because of meat, eggs, and dairy products. Trillions and trillions of US dollars are spent in this direction to try to cure those diseases that have been caused by meat, dairy, and eggs. So please, for the sake of your health and that of your children and of our planet and that of the future of our security and survival, please just leave the animals alone.
Being vegan is just as much a human rights issue as it is an animal rights, an environmental rights, or even a health issue. Human rights form an intrinsic part of being vegan. We feed 56 billion land animals every year grain that we grow that could be fed to humans. 82% of starving children live in countries where food is grown to feed livestock animals, so we're taking food from starving women, children and men because we want to feed livestock animals so we can eat their flesh and their secretions. So that's just one of the first issues surrounding human rights and veganism, but there are many, many more. There's the issue of slaughterhouse workers who have some of the highest rates of PTSD, depression, anxiety, drug and alcohol abuse, and even suicide in any profession. This is because they spend day after day after day slaughtering living beings. There's issues with Amazonian tribal people who are displaced in the Amazon when we clear massive amounts of land to form areas for cattle grazing and for crop production. Let's also just touch on the fact that eating animal products causes a whole host of health problems. Things like heart disease, certain forms of cancer, strokes, hypertension, Alzheimer's. We're bankrupting our healthcare systems because we're wasting money trying to find cures and medications to solve problems that people shouldn't have if they merely ate what their body was designed to eat. If you care about humans, you care about the future of our species, you have to go vegan. Animal agriculture is also responsible for causing some of the worst environmental calamities that we are currently facing as a species. It's responsible for up to 91% of Amazon rainforest destruction. It's also responsible for things like topsoil erosion, land desertification, and oceanic dead zones. Make no mistake, there is not a single living being alive on this planet today that is not negatively affected by our consumption of animal products.
If you raise a pig or a buffalo
It takes a lot of grains, a lot of energy, a lot of water, a lot of electricity, a lot of antibiotic, a lot of food, a lot of protein. In order to gain 1 kilo of beef, you waste a lot of national energies, money, water, clean and beautiful water, and then get some kind of polluted water in return due to the waste from the animals. In all kind of things. When you calculate the cost, this is a loss of business. It's too much waste of natural food in order to feed our appetite. We bankrupt our earth materials for food by feeding cattle. You know how much protein, medicine, water supplies, manpower, cars, trucks, road made, and how many hundreds thousands of acres of land has been wasted before a cow is good enough for one meal. And all these things could be distributed equally to all kind of underdeveloped countries. And then we save the hunger. We depleted the earth because we raise cattle and animals. Our earth is collapsing because we eat too much meat, actually. Every year we cut down forests as big as England just to raise animals. So how many rainforests has been destroyed? And this change atmosphere, change the rain. That's why our planet is heating up. And then many places are having problem with flood and also drought. Long period. The harmful effect of the meat diet is larger than life. Many countries in the world are short of water. Why? Because they use up all the water from the river to divert it into, big farm factory, like animal farm factory. They have to use a lot of water to give the animals to drink. And then use water to grow the crops for the animals to eat. Before they kill the animal, they have to use water to clean their pens every day and wash it down into the stream. And when they kill the animals, they need a lot of water to clean up also. And when people eat it at home, they also use water again to clean it and to cook it. So there's no end. There was enough water for all of us, plus over for everyone. We began this industry of meat diet. Then everything get worse. More hospital, more medicine, more sickness, more shortage of any kind, more temperature rise, and more suffering, more disasters, more hunger, more war. Fish farms are like on-land factory farms. They have similar problems environmentally with impact that includes polluting the bodies of waters. The farmed fish are contained in big netted areas of the ocean shore with uneaten food. Fish waste antibiotics or other drugs and chemicals that pass into the surrounding waters, where they harm our ecosystems and polluted our drinking source, depleting wild fish also. Fish like salmon that are eaten by humans are usually fed huge amounts of other fishes like anchovies. Studies have found that for every kilo of salmon that is sold in a supermarket, 4 kilos of wild fish have to be caught to feed the salmon.
A 2006 report by the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization estimates that the livestock sector generates 18% of human-induced greenhouse gas emissions. However, according to the World Watch Institute's research published in 2009, livestock raising is in fact responsible for more than half of all greenhouse gas emissions.
What about slaughterhouse? Do you really think there's such a thing as humane slaughter? Exactly what is your definition of humane? Besides psychological and physical abuse, torture, dismemberment, and murder, What else do you think happens to animals inside of a slaughterhouse? I'm well aware that animals suffer and die just because we're here on the planet with them. We build homes and roads through their habitat. We pollute their environment and destroy their habitat. Is there a reason we have to maximize the suffering and maximize the cruelty and the death that they already endure by eating them on top of it all? 98% of animals who are abused and killed on this planet are abused and killed by the meat, dairy, and egg industries.
The horrors that take place behind the factory farm, behind the walls of the massacre house door. I don't call it slaughterhouse, I call it massacre house. Behind the door of those massacre house, there's a horrifying actions going on. Or if they go on the massacring fishing boat, or the bloody whaling boat, to witness it for themselves, I wonder how anybody could ever do this for a living. So when we force ourselves to watch the videos of animal cruelty, we flinch, we cringe, we look away, we cry, or we scream. We have nightmare. We cannot bear to see the cow, the pig, the chicken's throat puncture or slit, so they bleed to death. Or the forced feeding of a foie gras goose, or purposeful underfeeding of a baby veal calf, or confining him so that he has to keep his tender meat, that he could not even move his body for the rest of his tender short life. Or the gruesome fate of baby chickens, where the females have their tender beaks cut off while hanging upside down, and males are ground alive or suffocated to death. Or the non-stop misery or panic of the pigs, who are so intelligent and loving and clean, yet forced to stand knee-deep in their own filth and choking on toxic fumes of their own waste and screaming out of madness. Or the sheep with the broken bones from being transported thousands of miles to massacre house. We look away because it's not our nature to want to be hurt, nor it is our nature to inflict pain and agony or sheer terror on others. This is not the way God intended for us to live with our co-inhabitants. This is not the way we should behave as children of God. We have been really deluded into doing all this and degrading ourselves, thus into this level. Even if we do not directly partake in this killing, we are still responsible if we eat the meat, or dairy products, or even fish for that matter.
If you say it's your choice to eat what you want, then I tell you this. Remember, every time you put any piece of animal's flesh or blood or bones or whatever, intestines or whatever that yucky things from animal in your mouth, you must remember many are dying for it, or dead because of that. The animals are suffering torturous death because of that. Most of animal products in your mouth. Many people die because of infectious disease and other disease related to animal products, which you promote or advocate or support or condone. So remember, you are responsible for all these deaths. So think about it. Apart from that, every time you put a piece of animal stuff in your mouth, you destroy a part of the planet. You destroy the future of our next children's generation. So you will be responsible for all that, even if no one to blame you or no one to accuse you. Your conscience will. Plus, your children and great-great-grandchildren will be burned in such an unbearable inferno of heat due to the climate change because of your meat diet choice. And if you're a leader and you don't lead people in the right direction, then you should abdicate, actually. Pardon my straightforward words. Being a leader is not just to enjoy sitting there with all the privilege and all the luxury afforded to you, and you forget that people, children, animals are agonizing every day for your piece of meat and whatever you did not do to help change the climate for the better and to save lives for people and for the animals. So that will be in your conscience. You will not get away with it because heaven records everything. You know that.